Boom! Hey internets, wanted to drop a video on merch for 2019. I've actually never done a video specifically on merch, but a lot of people looking for merch will end up subscribing to the channel because I talk about developing apparel brands. And so within that category, we talk about t-shirts production. So if you found this search via merch specifically, hi, I'm John Phenom, and I've been designing apparel closing out to 2 decades as this is post-dating. So most of the principles that apply to merch really kind of intersect with the need of the client or the influencer. Now that name is getting kind of a weird rap right now. People are like influencer. So when I say influencer, I mean if you're a person of attention in social media, or a musician, an artist, and you know that can include actors, whatever it is. So let me back up, give you a little bit of history. I'm always the guy that would get paired up with doing collaborations. So when I work in-house for a brand, you know, I loved working with a lot of, so early on I would work with a lot of pro skaters, anybody that was on the roster for like an action sports brand, and they would have, depending on the company, they would have a lot. When I was the senior men's at Ezekiel, I mean, we had like, of course we had a skate team and we had a surf team. There's like a pro wakeboarding team. We had a couple snowboarders on Flow. If they had a snowboarding gear sponsor that was cool with having us as a category of like apparel or like clothing brand sponsor. So you have a plethora of people that were sponsored as pros. And so a lot of those guys wanted their own signature, whatever, right? And I think on my portfolio on johnphenom.co I have Brandon Biebel. Wow, I still remember this is a million years ago, but I did a signature jean for him on the behalf of Maddox Clothing, which was a really great core skate brand, still doing things, still dropping things for sure. But I remember back in the day when I was working with him as a pro skater. Wow, really baggy fits. I mean, it's all different now. But in any case, I had a lot of those meetings where I developed for that person. Now that's on behalf of the brand. A lot of the people watching this might be handling the merch, or you are an artist that wants to do merch. Okay, so the value I can give you as from coming from developing and designing and being a vendor for clothing brands, I owned a high volume screen printing shop for like over 3 years, in which our biggest client was Blizzard. So it's a $6 billion gaming company. So we did a portion of their printables, which were massive orders and required a lot of handling, fully finished product like bag, hang tags, everything, the whole deal. And so anyways, coming from that, all the various experience, and now consulting with so many startup brands via this YouTube channel, I have a specific viewpoint that kind of cuts right to whatever merch a company might need. Also, working now with a lot of brands is more of a one-person brand. So I'll do a lot of work right now for influencers. So if someone has a huge YouTube channel, huge Instagram, or they have a huge YouTube channel and Instagram because they do music or because they're an actor or do something else, and then want to really kind of express themselves with apparel and selling the merch, I'm getting a lot of those calls as well. So things that are important, or let me just make it easier so it's not a 30-minute video, but I think the important thing for the people that are producing it is knowing what's available, right? So DTG and so direct to garment, okay, and sublimation is a big thing that's been happening lately. You'll know them probably. A lot of people will know them as doing like robust designs on leggings and stuff like that, but they're used all over the place. So you can cut and sew those items that are DTG'd and applicate them on other products. So those are direct to garment is a huge production thing that is something you should know about in terms of your offering. Of course, there's a traditional screen printing and embroidery. So you know, whether you're getting t-shirts done crews, hoodies, and all of that. You can get any design done as long as it's done on Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, and have those prepped for that. A third thing that some people don't think about if they never come into this space is working with promo companies. So promo companies, like, think of like when companies do a custom pen or they do a keychain or something. Those companies have access to a whole world of things that are actually really cool that don't get used a lot, because people don't think of using them in an application where they can buy it wholesale and then turn around and then sell it as merch. Simple things that are an easy buy, that can kind of jump them into it if they don't have $30 for a t-shirt, if that's what you're selling it at, or $25 for a t-shirt, but they want to come away with something to support the artist, or something that goes in conjunction with an album, on a single, an EP, or whatever that is. The other thing, so those are all products, right? And product development. The palette in which you have to create is vast. There's a lot of different things that you could think of. The other thing that I want to, there's a million things to tackle, but let me give you one more kind of big category I want to talk about for merch. Is it's really important to organize your product offering throughout so in fashion we would say season, but as to the schedule of performance and product offering for the artist. Now I'm talking about musicians for this portion. It's important to know what that schedule is, and then coincide your drops according to that. So if they're dropping a new album, or just a single that they want to hype, a mixtape, and then live performances, putting a pop-up booth is important to get that money when they're at the performance, to have it available. And I'll do a whole separate video on doing a good display on that, because there's so many cool things you could do to make it feel like a cool shopping atmosphere, rather than just the table and the tent, that are actually economical if you care. If not, the table and the tent is fine. But having the plan and the wherewithal to know that you should execute a plan of what product to drop prior. That way you can do figure out your timelines by working backwards from the suggested schedule. Okay, so obviously you want to coincide with all of those things, and then design-wise, you want those themes to revolve around the theme or the concept of the album, the single, and the tour merch, right? And then a whole nother separate video on like how deep you could go with themes, and then like how tight you can make the capsules, or the clothing groupings, or product groupings, because it just doesn't have to be apparel. It could be, at this point, I just designed some smartphone cases for a Latin music artist that I was doing capsules for their tour merch. So a lot to unpack there, but so think about the things that are available to you, and you can like YouTube almost all of those things to kind of get a more detailed view of what kind of products you can have, and all of those are going to have separate timelines. So the other thing I'm saying, so know what's available and when. The second thing is when for you. So the second thing is your schedule. The schedule for the artist, what they have planned for the year as an influencer, like whatever trait, whatever craft you kill at, coincide your product offering with that. Okay, and there's so many pluses and minuses and different ways that we could talk about it, because there's so many different categories. But this for me is a big part of like my income, or like the kind of companies I'm talking to now are less brands that need design work, and more individuals or groups that manage influencers, or like musicians, artists, any kind of public figures that are doing business via the internet, sort of, and have their own following and group, and they just need to feed that group with merch instead of just kind of slapping things together.